I had an 8th life crisis when I was 14. After 2 years at my new school, I still felt lonely and couldn't understand why. My extracurriculars didn't interest me, but I couldn't express what I wanted to do instead. I'd have really frustrating or really great days, yet wouldn't be able to explain what caused the difference. I had spent so much of my life defining myself by what I wasn't, that I didn't know who I was. I knew I didn't like sports, and I refused to wear Uggs, but back then I didn't know that weightlifting would be my preferred form of movement, or that wearing neutrals would be my fashion statement. I didn't know what I needed to fix at the time, but I realized I didn't know how to make myself happy. I couldn't rely on what others were doing, since that's what landed me in unhappy territory in the first place, and I was tired of waiting for something to change the situation for me. The great thing about me being so emotionally sensitive as a young teenager is that I felt the weight of the negative emotions strongly, and I was highly motivated to make it go away. So I started writing down what I did and how I felt. At first, inconsistently, and then daily. For the first year, I was in my incubation period. Nothing changed. I was just tracking and noticing my responses to my routine. The next year, I used my small collection of personal data to play around with the variables available to my high school self to test what I was discovering. For example, if I liked moving but didn't like sports, could I find a different way to fulfill my school's activity requirement? Then it became bigger than just what I liked or disliked. I started asking myself questions. What are my values? What do I look for in good friends? And how do I define success? I spent a lot of time thinking to find my answers. I took reflective walks, took a more personal angle on essays assigned to me, and discussed the topic with my friends and family. High school was a perfect time to start reflecting because it was still a controlled environment. All I had to do was turn my outward attention to detail inward, and my reaction to the 5 things I did every day started making more sense. The next step naturally was to start making future decisions based on who I was. But I took a few steps back in college when I got caught up with what college should be like. College should just be a better fit without having to make challenging decisions. College should be a time to try anything and everything. But that approach didn't work for me. So, 5 years after I first started getting to know who I was, I hit restart. This time, I had more options and decisions to make, but I had better systems. I revived my daily journal, but this time in digital form on my Notes app, and I used every decision as an opportunity to learn about myself. New life experiences do shed light on what resonates with you simply by living through them for the first time. For example, I didn't know how I would handle a romantic relationship until I had been in one. But I could know my love languages by choosing to take a 15-minute online quiz. I could understand my communication style based on my friendships. And I could predict how I'd respond to relational stress based on how I handled conflict. In this way, getting the most value out of my experiences required my paying attention and noticing patterns in my thoughts. College is said to be the time to learn about yourself, and it absolutely offers the opportunity to do so. But it's not a given. Experiencing without reflecting is like memorizing facts without the context. You're learning, but you can't see how the information connects or what it means. Self-awareness is often treated as a byproduct rather than the guiding compass to good decision-making. But introspection leads the way to fulfilling studies, relationships, and careers. It's a lifelong process that you have to choose to initiate. I'm still learning about myself every day, but the insights compound on each other and lead to faster personal understanding the longer you've been paying attention to what I like to call emotional data. It's like building a puzzle. The more pieces you have assembled, the easier it is to see the big picture and to add the next pieces. Life continues moving forward, regardless of whether you learn about yourself or not. Creating consistent reflection habits, though, is up to you. The question is, will you decide to look around and steer towards where you want to go?